Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. My name is Verena Lasvinia, and I'm grateful that you have joined the October 2025 edition of Spa and Wellness Talk by VLF Spa Consulting. Thank you so much for joining me today, where we will discuss and try to understand how artificial intelligence isn't about taking the soul out of wellness, but it's about helping us understand and serve our guests better. A topic that has become more and more relevant in today's wellness scene. And to understand more of how AI actually can add some soul to wellness operations, I have invited an expert in this field, Marilyn Vines, Brand and Development Director at Wellways, who joins us today from Australia. Thank you so much for making this happen, even with the time difference, Marilyn. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Verena, so much. And don't worry about the time difference. It's an absolute joy to be here with you today to talk about absolutely one of my biggest passion topics. And I greatly appreciate that you've brought the soul into this conversation today.
Thank you. And I must really say that when I talked to you recently, Marilyn, your passion for AI and technology integration into wellness areas really stood out to me. And what I love was that it was not because of the technology aspect as such, but your vision to have it enhance the human interactions. And when listening to you, I really knew I wanted a larger crowd to hear what you had to say. And so I'm incredibly grateful that you accepted my invitation to join me for today's talk. So thank you again for being with us.
Thank you.
As you know, we welcome also your questions, the audience in the chat on the YouTube channel, and we will answer them towards the end of this talk. So please don't be shy, but let's get started. In our industry and wellness, where spa and wellness experiences often end up following somehow one-size-fits-all pattern, the same treatment flow, the same music, the same recommendations. Let's dive straight in. Looking at the topic of today's talk, how can AI help us enhance the human experience? And how can AI help break this repetitive pattern and create experiences that truly respond to each individual guest?
Yes, and this is what is so exciting about AI and wellness. And whilst many of us are sitting and watching all these movements and changes and wondering, well, how do I engage with this? How am I going to benefit from this? It precisely can target the area of personalization for our wellness clients. As you just cited, there is traditionally, sadly to say, a one-size-fits-all delivery approach. And often a big issue behind that is because of the vital process of how do we get to know a client before we deliver a treatment? How can we make that seamless and not intrusive too much on actually the treatment delivery experience, which we believe that that's where the client sees the value. However, if we do not understand that the actual client and their needs and what they need targeted before we start the treatment, then we land in the one size fits all. So when it comes to AI, there are several ways that AI can be integrated. And I know we'll speak more to that later on, but it can be gathering of that information, allowing clients to be able to feed their personal information as to what they need, the targets they need with their treatment. So then that consultation process that is so vital can more seamlessly occur, can be more comfortably delivered by a therapist as well, and very efficient. So it's not eating into the treatment time that we place so much value on. So this is really exciting. If we can help, AI can help the human being to be able to help another human being. And that's exciting.
Absolutely. And I mean, you talked about personalization. And I think before even diving into how AI can help us, maybe let's talk about this all times buzzword in wellness, but also hospitality. What does true personalization actually mean? What does it mean to you? And if we're honest, have we been really delivering it in our spa and wellness facilities so far, and to which level? What's your
Yeah,
take?
well, let's be honest, we've been hearing this term personalization being heavily used for at least a good 10 years, maybe 15 years. And it's been very much attached to delivering a very luxurious premium experience. However, unfortunately, in many senses, it has just been a word that's being used. Because true personalization means you can only personalize unless you've received information from the client to learn what they need, a level of diagnostics that takes place where even the expert can read those results to be able to advise accordingly. This whole vital step is being sidestepped. So you cannot personalize unless you've gathered that information. So sorry to say it bluntly, but it is the reality.
But it's, I mean, it astonishes me. So I mean, we talked before our talk today, and you shared something incredible with me, and very insightful perspective from your personal but also professional experiences conducting mystery shopping or quality assurance reviews around the world. And you mentioned that in your findings, I believe you said it was only about like 5% of spa or wellness experience this who actually included a consultation before the treatment even began. I mean,
Absolutely. And
how
this
concerning.
well, it is concerning. However, it hasn't been, treated as a big concern. And that's where I think AI is going to be so exciting, because it will highlight this issue of lack of information being captured for the client to be able to personalize. But this has been the reality, to want to just dive into the treatment. The process of consultation, gathering that information, obviously hasn't been efficient enough or easy enough for therapists to feel comfortable using. And when you think about it, we always fill out forms, don't we, the first time we go to a spa, that we're giving information, but nearly never is that information, from my experience, ever being cited from the therapist. And again, it's not being critical of an industry. I think it's just revealing a challenge that has been in place for the frontline therapists. And myself, I actually come from a luxury beauty retail background, and it was always fascinating to me, because in beauty retail, you would never sell a moisturizer, recommend any product without doing a consultation. So it's interesting that in a retail environment, this diagnostic approach is actually inherent in that sector. But when you get into the wellness sector, spa sector, which is much more serious, far more remedial, we're dealing with such more intimate environment, and environments where we can identify much deeper needs, it's not happening. So I always found that fascinating.
Absolutely. And I mean, you touched a very good point. We are collecting data. We have been collecting data for decades now with, I mean, pre-treatment questionnaires. We have the treatment history. We even know, especially luxury hotels, guest preferences. We know their spendings. I mean, what are we doing with all this data? That's a really big question. And I mean, do you feel that us as humans in the spa industry, spa and wellness industry, we don't know how to, and can AI help us to interpret it so that we can use it in a meaningful way, and turning that information that we gathered into insight into a better experience? Or where do you feel that AI can have an answer to this, to elevate?
Absolutely. It can. I mean, the first thing, though, it comes from the operator, and the operator identifying the void, if it does exist in their environment, the void of utilizing this data, as you're saying. And does the practitioner, the therapist, have access to that data in an easy way to be able to apply it to treating their clients. So that's first and foremost. But yes, these tools absolutely can from, well, of course, I'm with Wellways, and Wellways has created Vital Score, which is the first introductory assessment and automated programming app. So this is a tool that immediately automates intimate gathering of information from clients and then immediately generating a wellness program. So I will definitely mention Vital Score, but then we've got things like face analyzers, for example, that are popping up everywhere. They are fantastic because if you use those, then it's going to generate the products that you need and the treatment programming to go along with it. However, I must say, I have personally experienced face analyzers, but the follow through of all the information that has been gathered hasn't been powerfully packaged and presented in a confident way. But it's all materialized right there. When we come to booking systems as well, this is where AI with the chatbots, for example, they can do all those draw from these amazing prompts that come from the client data that can bring forth powerful and personalized treatment recommendations. And I just found out, when it comes to the wearable devices as well, they link to Apple Health Kit, for example, and Google Fit. And when you connect to those, then they can actually access all your vitals that are being stored on your wearables. So AI, I think, is absolutely helping the front line. And when I use the term frontline, I'm meaning any practitioner, any therapist, any reservationist, any receptionist, any personal trainer, to be able to effortlessly be able to get this personal information and use it right there and there in real time. That's been the vital missing void from my 25 years of, yes, various experiences and travels. And because it's been a quandary for me for all these years, why doesn't it happen? There must be something missing, because we've got the environments, we've got the stunning products, we've got the experts, we do have systems in place. So why does the void still exist? And AI can help with this seamless integration and access.
Absolutely. Now, I hear that, and that's great that these tools exist. How do you see the integration into the spaces happening? It's not going to happen overnight. People need to be educated not only what exists, but also how to use them, because I can imagine that there is this fear, okay, there is technology coming now, this is not replacing anyone, which we need to educate first, this is helping you. But how do you see that process of integration into the spa and wellness spaces actually happening?
Well, you said the magic word, training, and it is all training. This is so important. So often, especially when it comes to technology, it's sort of dealt more with, the systems people, the IT people, and they're the ones, and they integrate it into the software. And then there might be a quick orientation program as to this is how you technically use it, and then off you go. But the vital part that misses in training is the guest experience, the customer experience, updating your treatment protocols and making sure that this tool or platform is integrated. It's a non-negotiable. It is compulsory, like cleansing somebody's skin before you do a facial. This is the mindset. And this is where it's always tricky with treatments. I always used to say, because it was so easy, in retail, I could go in and do mystery shops and observe and do quality control. And if I see something was missing, I could react with the staff and do a top-up training. But in spa, the therapist and the client go in the treatment room and the door is closed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean,
you can't survive.
Yeah.
So they need to believe, and this is where training is so important, and building a culture around the importance. It really is a cultural issue. And it is that if you're in a healing environment, a remedial environment, relaxing environment, that the default understanding is always that the human being is there because they need help. They need to relax. They need healing. So we have to follow through with that knowledge, that empathy. And what do you need to do? You need to understand them. So it is building a culture around not just guest first, but guest knowledge first. And that is integral to any treatment experience.
No,
And it's routine. You don't just do one training. You do weeklies at first, and you do that for the first 6 weeks. You're building new neural pathways for all of your team.
and I think that is really key to not that those tools that exist today, if they want to succeed, there needs to be an accompanying process, like a training happening. Because I was recently in a spa, I did a face analyzer. I mean, what came out was, did I believe it? It was not authentic to me. And the recommendations, there was not a single cream in the recommendation.
Right.
And why? Because it lacked certainly of the team not being accompanied, programming the device correctly. And I think that there is a lot of help needed for the operations.
Yes.
To take fear away, but to show easily how to do it, and maybe to even support in order that it works. I mean, I'm a technology fan, but at the same time, where I'm hesitant sometimes is that I want to be it done right.
Yes, absolutely. Consistency. And this can be the beauty of, AI and systems like this, that they will be consistent in their delivery. They will always deliver the information. It will never have a bias attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
As we know, when recommendations can come from a human being,
Of
there
course.
will always be bias, or that, in my personal opinion. And so AI can really help to drive consistency in a methodology, especially when it comes to product recommendations or massage modalities, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Treatment will always be linked when it sees this condition. That's fantastic. But yes, and training is actually often a challenge in spa environments where it possibly not ingrained enough into the overall importance of, whether it's weekly, monthly. I think this is an area where the industry as a whole could maybe have a little look at beauty retail and how they deal with training, because it's much more of a constant dripping tap. And this is something that could definitely maybe be put under the spotlight a little bit more.
It's the entire industry of hospitality. Just from my experiences in hotels. And I mean, I did one of my first spa and wellness talks was with Helen Norman, and we talked about training in spas and wellness operations. And there is so much compromise being done. And I'm a huge believer in training. Was certainly considered always a little ambitious, but I pushed it through because it was my vision. And I knew when I had my team trained and they got it, they understood the why, and they felt comfortable, they would rock. And but that's a totally
different word.
That's a different
magic word, Verena. It's if they understand the why. If they understand, and often we focus on the what. The what is, we've got this new platform, we've got this new product, the what. But why have we brought it in? And this is where the humanity comes from. This is where the soul comes from. This is what team members can actually connect with and go, I buy into that. Yes, I'm going to do that. I can see the benefits. I can see how I'm going to be able to help my clients even more. It's all about the why. And this is what I hope everybody who's watching us now is, if they wanted to contemplate something afterwards, is to why first and foremost, do I want to engage with AI for wellness? Why? And really get that clarity in the mind, and then align the what, which systems, to why you're actually wanting to engage with it.
Absolutely. Well, I have now a slightly provocative question for you, Marilyn, but one I really love asking. Imagine if Apple, yes, iPhone Apple, did spa and wellness. And now I know already everybody like saying, woo. What do you think our industry would look like if Apple created a spa or wellness brand? And how might that kind of thinking that Apple has, simplicity and integration of technology, could change the way we deliver wellness?
Well, I think we would finally have a solution to achieving sustainable wellness. Because what if Apple did spa? We would be growing definitely new neural pathways. We would be developing new virtual limbs that just innately start behaving differently to their commitment and the ease of being able to be well. You know, I heard a staggering statistic at a recent Congress, and it was that, like, people have never wanted to be more well and focus on their wellness, never more than today. However, what I learned was that only about like 80% really want to improve their health, but only 20% are actually committed to it. That was staggering to me. So why are those numbers so different? What's the issue that's getting in the way of, I want to achieve this, but I'm not committed to doing it? And so it is about sustainable wellness, people being able to find easy ways to really commit and do it and just change their life. That's the way they live their life. And I think if Apple did spa, they would have that secret sauce to make wellness sustainable and easy, and ability to commit, and the tools would be there that would just become so innate to our daily living.
And maybe also democratized, that it's
Well,
available for more.
thank you for bringing that word up. Absolutely, because that is also a challenge that we face, is the accessibility and the availability to wellness. And again, this is where AI is definitely can open the floodgates in accessibility to wellness, which is quite exciting through touchless wellness. And this can really change the playing field. And as you say, democratize, accessibility to premium wellness experiences.
Great. I would love to come back to the fear that technology would and could replace the human touch and wellness. I know that I've always been an advocate that you can take away the human touch, or you cannot replace the human touch, and I still believe that. So, from your perspective, how can AI actually enhance empathy, connection, helping practitioners and teams to be more intuitive, more aware, or more present with their guest?
I think it comes back to, again, the area of, to be able to show that empathy and connection to guests, you need to build that engagement, that connection, that rapport with them. And this is where AI can help by being able to gather that information right from the get-go, to arm then a human being with some insights that can help them build that initial rapport. This is, everybody's favorite topic to talk about is themselves. Okay. But how many times have you been in an environment where the person who's meant to be helping you is just saying, well, I love this product, I love this treatment, rather than you. So it's very interesting. And so, but when you're armed with the information, we can get back to that why question. So why was the last time you were able to have a treatment was 6 months ago? What information am I going to get from that why question, for example? Why do you always go for shiatsu massage? Or, why have you been experiencing any data that you've received? you can really build strong rapport by getting clarification on that. And then it's only going to give you added understanding. The other way is that, of course, all therapists and practitioners have different personalities, don't they? And some just aren't good conversationalists. They're shy, they lack confidence. They can be misreading an environment where they might be thinking, oh, the client doesn't want to talk. She just wants the healing hands. Let's start. But again, this can help because they've got the information to get a little bit more confidence, to have those conversation starters, to be able to maybe make bolder statements like, I need to see you in 2 weeks' time. We were able to achieve this today, but step 2, I need to see you in 2 weeks' time, and then we'll move on to this step. Many therapists, I would speak like a doctor, but many therapists don't have the confidence to speak in that very clear-sighted way. This is what we achieved here today. This is what you need to do at home, and I need to see you in 2 weeks' time. So AI can be very helpful. And then, of course, with the touchless wellness, there are just simply clients that don't like to be touched. And so when it comes to, touchless massage, beds and things like that, that's fantastic, because it's only going to open up the floodgates for a pool of people that just don't like physical touch.
I agree. And again, it goes also back to the areas where such a tool is maybe just available without labor. In a gym, for example, where you not necessarily would have a massage afterwards.
Yeah. And I think this is something that we can't be self-critical. Of course, when these technologies first come out, the brain does immediately go to, oh, it's replacing humans. But this is where we just got to stop and think broader in terms of the operational implications. Look at your capacity rate, look at your average therapist yield and their turnover potential, and see how touchless wellness, for example, can actually amplify a therapist's yield, can amplify your hours of operation, can amplify many things. It can diversify some of your pricing schedules. So as I said, it can add levels of accessibility. So it's really important that we absorb, we see all the new products that are coming out and platforms, but then we stop and we go, okay, first of all, why do I need to consider this? Operationally, where can the advantages be? And then most importantly, how can it help my team? And how can it help my clients? It's got to come back to the human being.
Beautifully said. And I must really say that, Marilyn, those were truly great insights and reflections for one to have. And thank you so much for these. And I feel not just me, but all our audience must have started thinking about possibilities of what AI integration may look like in their own spaces after listening to you. So very thought-provoking. Thank you. Let me quickly see which or if we have questions in our chat. Let me quick see. I don't see any. Quick see. And then otherwise we come already close to our, quickly go in here. Doesn't show, but I think we don't have questions at this time. If there have been any that I don't see, we will answer them on the YouTube channel post this chat. So if there were any, thank you so much for your questions and participation. And we're coming close to our 30-minute mark again. And but before we want to say goodbye, let's quickly wrap up to today's session with some takeaways, as we always do. Now, there have been many great topics you touched on, Marilyn, and it's kind of hard to choose, but let me try. Somehow I want to say technology and AI doesn't mean distance and without emotions, but rather the opposite. Technology offers an opportunity and possibilities to make our teams shine even brighter. I think that was one thing that stood out to me. And technology can help optimize and enhance the experiences of our guests without taking the human touch away. Do you agree with that?
You've captured it beautifully, Verena.
Good. Thank you, Marilyn. I could continue clearly much longer our conversation, and an exciting topic that is so relevant today, but also for the years to come. And for having a spa and wellness business stand out, I believe as well in today's competitive market, it is important to get on this topic. So thank you for having joined me today, Marilyn.
Thank you very much, Verena. What a joy.
Thank you all for watching today's edition of Spa and Wellness Talk, or for watching the replay. I do hope you found this conversation inspiring, and I invite you to follow Real Lab Spa Consulting on Instagram and LinkedIn. And as usual, the recording of today's talk will be available on this YouTube channel. And over the next few days, we will share as well the link to the replay through our social media platforms. So thank you, Marilyn, for having joined me today. And thank you all for having taken the time to listen to us. Until the next time when we talk spa and wellness again, enjoy the rest of your day and be well.